Australia has a very, very strong history of producing high quality medical research, Nobel Prize winners.
It's actually an epic time in history, because how often do you get a brand new disease?
And we have a little bit of an advantage at the moment in that as a nation, as a society, we haven't been completely crushed by COVID. So we actually have the time and the intellectual bandwidth, as well as the knowledge to potentially lead the world in this. We could produce what's needed to remove the global threat.
As a kid, I loved science. I loved learning how the body might work and how the whole world worked. And so to be able to spend my life doing medical research, to discover the intricacies, just to add some extra information that in the end could make a difference to someone's life, that's been extraordinary for me.
I love my job because it's different every day. Like before the pandemic, we were studying anything from snake bites to car crashes, and there's something new every day.
On a day-to-day basis pre-COVID, we'd have over 200 patients come to our emergency hospital every day. We have around 450 inpatients here. We have 14 operating theatres running a day.
This is a hub of research. We have so many doctors, nurses, allied health in this wonderful hospital, Royal Perth Hospital. They are cutting edge. They're making a difference, giving the best treatment to West Australians and sharing their knowledge around the world.
Our emergency department here has a research wet lab embedded in the emergency department, and I think that's probably unique to the Southern Hemisphere. We have research nurses and doctors who work with patients all week.
We are the ones who feed the information to the clinical teams to say, this is a brilliant therapeutic or this has side effects, so don't consider this option.
Medical research is the science which backs our medicine, and that's why it's so important to our community.
I was on my bike, we went to cross the street, and my wife, she went across, so I just followed and I didn't look. And next thing I know, bang on the road.
It's like a really well-oiled machine, you know. They're so set up, so professional, so used to dealing with people in these horrible situations. Everybody was so patient and kind.
The research we do here in this such interactive way between the laboratory and the hospital, that's our strength.
Research in how better to perfect some of the surgical techniques is outstanding. In my case, I had a broken femur. I didn't have to be in traction for 6 months. They were able to, using a new technique, put in titanium femoral nail, which got me up and walking within a couple of days.
The work that Lyn and others do in terms of research in Western Australia, we know continues to play a critical role around the world.
We specialise here in the Foundation in adult medicine with a strong emphasis on the ageing population. We are putting our knowledge in the context of COVID-19 and seeing how it can protect our community.
We're in quite a privileged position here, an unquestionably privileged position that we don't have to focus all our resources on caring for the sick. We can actually invest time, effort and money in research, and so that's a critical role for us here.
Life has changed considerably over the last 2 months. The staff have obviously been through a roller coaster of planning for a large pandemic.
Feeling like the tidal wave was coming, so we noticed in the emergency department less and less people were coming in, but it just felt like the calm before the storm.
Everybody has just worked so hard, like unbelievably hard, probably the hardest in their lives, to develop the systems and processes just to make things work in what is an absolutely unprecedented situation.
I'm really astonished by the fact that specifically researchers who now cannot necessarily work on the topics they usually do. They have come together, they collaborate very closely on the specific topic of COVID-19.
We're part of multiple groups that are supporting research activities to develop better treatments for people who have COVID.
At the moment, we want to better understand the risks that come with the coronavirus, specifically in the context of heart disease.
We're also looking into how this might affect the community's response in terms to their social well-being, so their mental health.
It's natural to feel intense distress, worry and anxiety.
We're not immune to emotional fallout, and COVID-19 has delivered us its challenges, unquestionably.
When you go through a traumatic event or you go through a significant stressor, the first thing we advocate for is peer support, and we've seen an awful lot of that during this time.
I have many colleagues and close friends overseas, and the most difficult has been providing support to a colleague in Barcelona who has been completely and utterly overwhelmed by this disease, and his basically journey through hell of trying to manage his staff, losing staff, running out of PPE so that staff were getting infected.
We were really worried about taking the virus home. I think that was one of the biggest worries in our mind. Went through all sorts of different kind of processes. Get changed at work, get changed in my garage, go straight for a shower, wash from head to toe. My hair's never been washed every day for like this much ever.
I think it can take a huge emotional toll. You're dealing with an already stressful situation, and then you're holding on to the emotion of your patients, the emotion of your colleagues, and trying to do your job at the same time.
I had this fear that somebody that I knew, and by that I mean a healthcare worker, that I knew was going to die from the disease.
There's been a lot of fear in watching people, particularly overseas, where doctors and nurses, especially in emergency departments, have contracted the virus, and hundreds of them have died.
Staff were understandably anxious and concerned about what was to come.
We didn't know if we would get sick, we didn't know if our family would get sick.
One ward in particular has taken the vast majority of our COVID patients, our respiratory ward. The nurses on that ward have been absolutely fantastic. They've provided compassionate care. It's hard work. They're in their PPE for most of the day.
They are putting themselves at risk to look after other people, but that's why we signed up for our jobs. We like to help people.
They do it because they know it's really important and they want to make a difference. When their head hits the pillow, they want to know, I've made the world a slightly better place by what I've done today.
Every bit of research effort that helps us understand the disease and trying to work out treatments that actually work actually makes a difference for the whole planet.
The risk, particularly the nurses, healthcare workers that deal with those patients, several hours per day, and putting themselves at risk of, attracting an infection. And I would certainly see them as heroes.
I don't think I'm a hero. I think I just have a job that lets me help people. It's always a privilege and a challenge kind of at the same time.
The future's a little bit uncertain and we don't know how things are going to pan out, but everybody's doing their best.
And I hope we come out of this a much more humane, much more compassionate, and also much more appreciative of what we can do when we collectively work together.
It's lit a fire under us collectively in medical research, and I think that's a good thing. It's a fantastic thing. It's also highlighted to the community the incredible importance of medical research.
Now we need to build on the science so we can learn from the experience of COVID-19. The best people to help us do that is medical researchers.
Prevention is better than cure, right? Those are the returns of investment.
This amazing research is happening at Royal Perth Hospital, and we should be really, really proud of that.
I find it incredibly comforting that there's world-class research happening right here that's connected so strongly to our hospital, and take great comfort in the fact that members of the public can turn up to Royal Perth every day and get world-class care that's informed by world-class research.
Research is not inexpensive. Research needs to be funded. And at the end of the day, this research and the funds that come in will come back to every individual, to the community at large.
By backing our medical researchers, we can vastly expand the science and the evidence that underpins that science for the next great discovery in medicine.